And all. Semiconductor Conclave 2025, Shaping the Future of Silicon Intelligence, supported by Government of India, Ministry of Science and Technology, and Department of Scientific and Industrial Research, organized by Department of Electrical and Electronics Engineering, MIT WPU. This national level conclave is dedicated to fostering collaborations between academia and industry in domains of semiconductor and VLSI domain. I take this privilege, Professor Rasika Behar, Assistant Professor from the department, welcomes you all to the VLSI Conclave 2025, organized by Department of Electrical and Electronics Engineering, MIT WPU. This conclave will indeed serve as a dynamic platform aimed at fostering collaborations, innovation, and knowledge sharing in the field of VLSI design and technology. This conclave brings industry leaders, academic experts, researchers, and students to explore emerging trends, challenges, and advancements in the domain of semiconductor design, chip fabrications, embedded systems, and EDA tools. With the rapidly evolving landscape of electronics and growing demand for efficient, scalable, and intelligent hardware solutions, the VLSI Conclave serves as a vital forum to discuss cutting-edge technologies. Through a series of keynote speakers, panel discussions, student showcase through poster presentations, the conclave aims to bridge the gap between academia and industry, promote interdisciplinary collaborations, inspire the next generation of VLSI professionals and innovators. This conclave is a testament of the department's commitment to industry-ready education, research-driven development, and contributing to national mission of becoming the global semiconductor hub. Once again, a heartfelt welcome to each one of you. Let's make this day a truly memorable. It is indeed a great moment of a great honor and privilege as we extend a warm and heartfelt welcome to all our esteemed and dignitaries whose presence has really graced this special occasion. May I humbly invite all the esteemed dignitaries to kindly come forward and join us in lighting the ceremonial lamp. May I request all the dignitaries to please come forward? Ajit Gupta sir, Gautam More sir, you may also join. May this flame inspire us to seek knowledge, embrace wisdom, and strive for excellence in all our endeavors. Student, occupy the seats immediately. Thank you, sir. Thank you all the esteemed dignitaries. It has been a 4 decades long MIT tradition to start any event program with a world peace prayer. A prayer that is above all the caste, creed, religion, and sect. Rather, it brings all under one roof of humanity and thought of world peace. Kindly rise in your seats, join your hands, close your eyes, and bring the image of your parents, Guru, Lord, that you believe in. May I request the technical team to pray the world peace prayer.
प्रतिपाद्या जय जय स्वसंवेद्या आत्मरूपा देवातुति गणेषु सकलार्थमतिप्रकाशु म्हणे निवृत्तिदासु अवधारि गोदी गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरु साक्षात् परब्रह्मा तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः।
Thank you all. To mark the opening of the VLSI Conclave 2025, may I request Dr. Siddharth Chakrabarty sir, Dean SOET, MIT WPU, to give the welcome address. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, madam. Respected dignitaries on the dais and off the dais, distinguished speakers, industry experts, dear faculty members, and my dear students. Good morning to everyone. It gives me a great joy, pleasure to welcome you all in this Semiconductor Conclave 2025 here at MIT World Peace University. Over the past month, our team has worked hard to plan this particular event. And today, we are proud to host some of the top minds in the semiconductor technology at this dais. It is a wonderful opportunity for all of us to hear thoughts on where the chip technology is heading and what India needs to do to become strong in the field. India's semiconductor mission has already made a good progress. The government has committed $19 billion to build chip factories and to create a full ecosystem for the semiconductor production. There is also a big focus on the training 85,000 skilled professionals to support this growing sector. Recently, government approved India's 6th semiconductor plant, a joint venture between HCL and Foxconn. This shows that we are moving fast towards self-reliance in the chip making and design. But really, the policies and investments alone are not enough. What we really need is the collaboration between industry and academia, strong research, good training, and visionary leadership. That's the main purpose of the conclave, to bring all the stakeholders at a single platform and start the important conversations among us. This conclave is special because it brings experts from industry, academia, research, labs, government together under one roof to talk about the future of semiconductors in India and globally. As we know, semiconductors powers almost everything in lives today, from mobile phones, laptops, cars to satellite and also the AI. At MIT WPU, we focus on quality education, innovation, and values of peace. We believe such events help our students to connect what they learn in the class and really apply to the world challenges. Today, you are lucky to interact with some of the leading experts in this particular field. In this conclave, probably we will talk about many important topics, covering chip design, manufacturing, the need of skilled professionals, sustainability, startups, innovations, and how academia and industry can work together. We hope these discussions will give us useful ideas and help us to create long-lasting partnerships. To all our speakers, industry leaders, and students, we thank you for being the part of this event. Your presence shows that the real challenge happens when we come together and share our ideas. I really congratulate the Department of Electrical and Electronics Engineering for making this happen. And let's make the most of the conclave to learn, connect with each other, and contribute to the India's journey towards the semiconductor. Thank you, and Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir, for setting the tone of the program. May I now request Dr. Prasad Khandekar, sir, CAO, MIT WPU, to present the opening remark for the VLSI Conclave 2025. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Dignitaries on the dais, Dr. Satya Gupta, President, VLSI Society of India, Dr. Paneerselvam, CEO, Mighty Startup Hub, Government of India, my senior colleague, Professor Jatana, noted semiconductor industry leader, Professor Pandey, Pro Vice Chancellor of the University, Dr. Chakravarti, Dean of Engineering, Professor Parul Zadav, Program Director, School of Electrical and Electronics Engineering, dear colleagues and dear students. It gives me a lot of satisfaction when I see this crowd, the number of students in the audience talking about semiconductor. 20 years ago, when I started my journey into semiconductor research, there were few takers amongst academia. And most of my colleagues ventured into soft computing because that was very easy research path, you know. Working on MATLAB on a laptop was very easy. But the access to semiconductor EDA tools, at least in Pune, was less known. We had this open software microwind developed by a French university, but the accuracy of that software and the technology files were not very accurate. So I had the chance to work in a nearby institute in I2IT, where they had the Cadence tool. And I got a chance to work on GPDK 180 nanometer during my doctoral studies. But most of the journals during those times did not accept your paper if you have not designed and fabricated your chip. They were always asking for post-chip fabrication results. And there was always this challenge of publishing in a good quality journal those days. Now when I see MIT WPU having a full Cadence suite, we have a lot of industry coming forward, partnering with us and guiding our students. I think this is the right time for India to do something great in chip design, semiconductor design. And I'm extremely happy that the government is very positive about this change. VLSI Society is also supporting academia in a very big way. But most importantly, I see the industry people coming forward and connecting with academia. I think this is a very golden opportunity where if students like you do not take full benefit of connecting with the industry and working on this current EDA tools, we will be left behind as a country. I still remember I used to travel internationally to publish my papers on my own expenses just to get connected with people around the world. And I never got sponsorship for my conference papers, but I used to put my money from my own salary. There were few IIT professors who used to guide me, Professor Dipankar Chaudhary from IIT Delhi, Professor Dinesh Sharma from IIT Bombay, and there were few professors from Dhirubhai Ambani Institute, Gandhinagar. I was well connected with them, but it was a very small community, and conferences like this were not coming to Pune very often. I am extremely happy that the school has taken this initiative of creating this ecosystem at MIT World Peace University. As a PhD supervisor in semiconductor, I'll be happy to take even undergrad students and guide them on chip design wherever possible. With this, I thank all the sponsors and organizing team for having pulled this conference up to this level, and I wish them all the good. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for guiding all of us. May I now request our Pro Vice Chancellor, Dr. Milind Pandey, sir, to deliver the inaugural address and guide us, all of us, for this Conclave 2025. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. A very good morning and warm welcome again. I take this opportunity to welcome all of you again. On behalf of Sir, our Executive President, Dr. Rahul Karad, on behalf of our Founder President, revered Professor Dr. Vishwanath D. Karad, I would like to extend a warm welcome. Honorable Dr. Satya Gupta ji, President, VLSI Society of India, big round of applause for him. We called him as a father of semiconductor in India. Again, Honorable Dr. P.S. Madan Gopal ji, the CEO of Mighty Startup Hub, Government of India, big round of applause, sir. Welcome you. And nevertheless, Honorable Mr. H.S. Jatana ji, a visionary semiconductor industry leader. बहुत स्वागत है सर आपका. A hearty welcome to every one of you and all our panelists and my dear colleagues, senior professors and all my students. I heard that without any invitation, these many students, they registered on their own. This shows a big round of applause for all our students. Yesterday we were discussing what is the role of semiconductor. Can we start undergraduate or postgraduate program in semiconductors? And then I learned a very interesting story. The Sundar Pichai, the CEO of Google, he said the chips are the currency of digital economy. Nevertheless, the President of European Commission, he also quoted the investing in semiconductors is investing in future, resilience, innovation, and independence. This underlines the importance of semiconductor, VLSI industries, electronics, and photonics. And most importantly, the Union Minister for Electronics and IT, Mr. Ashwini Vaishnav, he quoted the India's semiconductor mission is not just about chips, it's about charting our place in future. And then for every one of us, the statistics said, and my colleague Dr. Khandekar and Dr. Siddharth Chakravarti, they quoted it. One of the statistics from India Electronics and Semiconductor Association, in their reports they said India will need over 1 million semiconductor professionals by 2030. Another, the MIghty report, the person is here. The MIghty report for 2024 said 95% of chip design talent in India is concentrated in just 5 metro cities, causing the regional skill imbalance. And that is the point of discussion, sir, today, the panel discussions. Can Pune become as a semiconductor hub? That is the question. The lot of potential, more than 28 universities. On every corners of this Pune city, we have the industry hub, we have the IT hub, gaming hub. And The McKinsey report said the only 2% of Indian engineering colleges offer VLSI or semiconductor specific electives, creating a massive skill gap at the academic level. And yesterday I was discussing with Dr. Parul, with Dr. Siddhar, Dr. Khandekar, and they said, is it a good option to start elective in 4-year engineering program for electronics, VLSI design, or can we start the independent B.Tech program in semiconductors? So today we will get an answer to it. What are the expectations from this conference? Why this semiconductor conference? And when I discussed, to identify strategies to strengthen industrial R&D, innovation and academic research in the electronics and semiconductor industry. I think this is the first objective of the shaping the future of silicon intelligence. The another objective, what are the current challenges faced in financing the R&D and manufacturing in the electronics and semiconductor sector in India? With this, all my industry colleagues and support the synergies between the academia and industry, we need to find the answer to this. And third, there is a lack of dedicated support programs for electronics and semiconductor R&D and device manufacturing. Can we plan to explore possibilities getting dedicated funding under the Atmanirbhar Bharat for further research in this semiconductor? This is the third expectation from this conference. And fourth, and which is most important, to examine how the technology can be leveraged for boosting industry-academia interaction and strengthening the electronics, semiconductor and photonics industry to achieve Atmanirbhar Bharat through PPP, that is public-private partnership model, achieving the aim of creating the hub, Pune as a hub. These are the main expectations from this conference. But I'm sure the two panel discussions, the talent pipeline for the semiconductor industry, challenges and opportunities, and second panel discussion, the semiconductor innovation in the age of AI and edge computing, will shape the direction to the youth sitting here for taking the careers in semiconductor, photonics, VLSI design and electronics. One poem said, and that is what is important, break the norm, rewrite the game. Let your fire become your name. Success will chase those who create, not those who sit and call it fate. I think the time has come. India needs this semiconductor chip design. The AI-specific semiconductor demand is expected to contribute over $300 billion in revenue globally by 2030. That is what the McKinsey 2024 report said. And the NASSCOM 2024 report says the India's AI sector is expected to add $500 million to GDP by 2026, driving the demand for domestic semiconductor innovation. I will not take much of your time, but then, honorable members on the dais, we received a grant from the DST, Department of Science and Technology, and that too particular from DSIR. My colleague, Professor Dr. Avishkar Katti is sitting here. We received a grant from boosting electronics and semiconductor industry through academia-industry interaction. And this is the first step towards the discussion between the academia and industry. Atmanirbhar Bharat की बात हो रही है. The entire PMO office is focusing on Atmanirbhar Bharat. और मैं एक दो लाइन कह के अपने वाणी को विराम दूंगा कि ऐसा कहते हैं, और दिस इज रिगार्डिंग द आत्मनिर्भर भारत. He said कि मुश्किलों में धैर्य साहस यही जीने की कला है, शिखर तक पहुंचा वही जो आखिरी दम तक चला है. हो अगर हिम्मत हृदय में, गर्व से उन्नत हो मस्तक, आत्मनिर्भरता के पण से भरे बने भारत युग प्रवर्तक. गर्भ में संभावना के कहीं दृढ़ निश्चय पला है, शिखर तक पहुंचा वही जो आखिरी दम तक चला है. Let us come together and shape the future of India with this semiconductor. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Milind Pandey sir, for setting the aims and objectives of the conclave, and also thankful for the beautiful kavita that you said. I'm Dr. Anuja Askedkar. I'm one of the program coordinators and also event coordinator, one of the event coordinators for the Semiconductor Conclave. I welcome everyone on the dais, of the dais, and dear students. I am privileged, totally privileged. I am a bit nervous as well because I have a task of introducing Dr. Satya Gupta sir. So I would just like to read out whatever I have been given, but I'm really, really nervous, and I'm as well privileged to be reading his introduction. I am assuming my students must have already Googled who's Dr. Satya Gupta is. If you have not done, please do it, because whatever I'll be reading is a very short introduction of him, and he is a big, big man who has honored us with his presence today. So Dr. Satya Gupta sir is a techno-visionary with a wealth of experience and expertise, and has been part of the worldwide semiconductor and electronics industry for more than 40 years. After a 12-long corporate career at Intel, he has co-founded 4 successful startups: Intel Microelectronics, Open Silicon, Concept to Silicon, and SenseOpt in semiconductor and electronics product areas. He was the founding member of Indian Semiconductor Association in 2005, which is ESA, and was also ESA chairman for years 2012 to 13, 2020 to 2021. He has co-founded and was also CEO of EPIC Foundation, a non-profit organization for developing Indian electronics products. His mission and vision is make in India as electronics and semiconductor product nation, make India an electronics and semiconductor product nation, and take VLSI design and semiconductor education at undergraduate level to 500 plus colleges in all parts of India, and establish one TOPS, which stands for one chip tape out per student before graduation. He is a recipient of IEEE Gordon Bell Award for the fastest supercomputer, Best Private Semiconductor Company for Open Silicon by Global Semiconductor Alliance, Distinguished Alumni Award from BITS Pilani, Lifetime Achievement Award from VLSI Society of India, DVCon, and Mentor Graphics. He is currently serving as a visiting faculty at IIT Roorkee, IIT Gandhinagar, and Gati Shakti University, and he is also the president of VLSI Society of India. So we are very proud and privileged to have you here with us, sir. So may I now request Dr. Milind Pandey sir to felicitate Dr. Satya Gupta sir. Can we have a round of applause, please? Thank you, sir. May I now request Dr. Satya Gupta sir to deliver his keynote address. Dr. Satya Gupta sir, please.
Hello. So, thank you so much for all the honor. When I came this morning, I thought I'm visiting another university, just like I've visited so many universities. But I was basically blown away, especially with one fact. There are two educational institutes I have seen in India, which have basically respect and display of every religion and personalities from all walks of the life. Okay. Harpreet can tell which one the first one, and obviously MIT is the second one. So, what is the other institute which has basically same respect and display for all the religions and big personalities of the world? Which other institute has this kind of thing? कौन सा है और कोई? और कहाँ पे ऐसा? You don't know? Where did you study? So BITS Pilani, where both of us went, has a Saraswati temple. The peripheral of that temple has almost like 150 kind of involved statue for all the big personalities, whether it's from science, whether religion, all the basically religion represented. And that's the same thing I saw here, and I was really, really impressed. I think in the world I've seen that in only 2 institutes so far, right? So BITS Pilani was obviously where एग्जाम के पहले जाना था तो सरस्वती मंदिर तो जाना नहीं था, पास कैसे होंगे, right? So that's the kind of the thing. So I'm very, very happy to see this. Not just this, the kind of the initiatives and infrastructure you have built at MIT. I'm really blown away. I think it's one of the best facilities I've seen so far. And not just facilities, initiative and excitement to do something. So really pleasure to be here, and hopefully some of the questions which sir were answering, I may answer it in my talk or afterwards, basically, right? So, so I think, as ma'am said, basically, after doing the corporate and basically startups and all of those things, so I had a good fortune to work in all 4 spheres of the basically industry and academia. I've been closely associated with academia, corporate, startup, and also working with the government, right? I have worked with central government, ISM for a long time, many states to draft their semiconductor policy and so on and so forth. So good fortune that I can see things from basically all different perspectives, since I have been basically involved in all the 4, right? So one thing basically which is very clear in my mind, and I'll just basically present the case, is that if India has to achieve the goals of the Viksit Bharat, it cannot happen without basically India becoming a strong electronics and semiconductor product nation. That's the imperative. If you want to be developed nation, if you want to be top 3 nations in the world, if you are not making the products, not just basically other things, just the products in electronics and products in semiconductor, you cannot achieve the status of the Viksit Bharat, right? So that's my basically, at a high level, that's my basically mission goal. I'm working with a lot of industry people to make this happen, right? चल नहीं रहा है, इधर पॉइंट करना. You can start. So how many of you recognize this tune? All of you? Okay. So I neither have the personality or the voice of Amitabh Bachchan, but I put together a small basically quiz for all of you to basically begin with. Kaun banega chip shakti? So just like ABC, right? Go back, please. Go back, go back, go back. So can you read the first one, this second one, right? Go back, please. One more, go back. Yeah. So what is the largest semiconductor product company in the world today? TSMC. Anybody else? आपको नहीं allowed है. Students. आप और कुछ another answer? जोर से बोल यार. AMD. Okay, नाम बोलो. NVIDIA. How many of you agree with NVIDIA? How many of you agree with TSMC? NVIDIA, okay. How big is the NVIDIA? Does anybody know what is the market value of NVIDIA today? Now you can say. 4.16 trillion. What is India's GDP today? 4.1 trillion, right? So a single company, semiconductor product company, has the basically market value equal to India's GDP. Okay, that's the power of semiconductors, and NVIDIA is not just basically largest semiconductor company; it's the largest company in the world today. Okay, so and the keyword is semiconductor product company. Okay, some of you mentioned TSMC and other things, but the emphasis, please keep it on NVIDIA is semiconductor product company. It's not a semiconductor manufacturing company. Can you go to the next, please? Was the screen will work? That's right. What is the largest electronics product company in the world? Not just semiconductor, just the end product, basically like this mic, like this. So which is the largest electronics products company of it? Cisco, Apple, Foxconn, and Samsung. Anybody? Okay. Somebody else? How many of you have iPhone in your hand? Can you raise hand? Who makes iPhone? Which company makes iPhone? Everybody should know, right? So Apple is the largest product company in the world. Okay. Again, about $3.5 trillion of market valuation, right? So now we know which is the largest semiconductor product company, which is large electronics company. And third is basically, how many of you use ChatGPT? Everybody. Good, 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 good. So, have you heard a name DeepSeek? How many of you heard the name of DeepSeek? What is it? What type of AI company? NVIDIA is also AI company. What type of the AI company DeepSeek? So does it make GPU? No. Okay. I have to get my glasses. Algorithm company, educational institute, and e-commerce company. Which one? AI algorithm company. So now we got the third basically answer, what is important, right? The foundation technology, like algorithms, electronics products, and semiconductor products. And that's what basically make a nation self-reliant and basically have the, what I want to use, the technology sovereign nation, where basically we don't depend for critical technology on other people, which are required for strategic sovereignty, economic sovereignty and the citizen service sovereignty. So we need to have all three of them, not just basically defense, but economic sovereignty in today's world is as important as strategic sovereignty. Right? How many of you know this gentleman? Can you go back? One back. How many of you can recognize this gentleman? Anybody? Maybe 50 plus people might know. जोर से बोलो. First person to do what? Naam. Bose. What is he famous for? So I think J.C. Bose is most famous for basically his invention of the radio along with the Marconi, which is basically people like Qualcomm are reaping the benefit of that invention today. So one fact which most of the people don't know, in 1904, much before the transistor was invented, Bose invented a basically radio detector device, which was the inspiration for the semiconductor transistor. So when the three gentlemen were accepting the Nobel Prize for semiconductor, they mentioned that their device was inspired by J.C. Bose's devices 45 years back, right? So somewhere around 54 or 51 time frame when the semiconductor was invented, and these guys got Nobel Prize in 1954. But Bose had worked basically on the similar device 50 years back, right? So that's the contribution of J.C. Bose to the semiconductor, which very few people know. We know about the radio story with the Marconi and all of those things, right? Can you go next, please? Let me see if it works there. Okay. So, where is India going, right? If you look at the picture on the left, 1980, when India was basically starting its space mission, the first rocket, the nozzle was carried on a bicycle to the launch pad because taking it any other vehicle would have damaged it because no road, no infrastructure, right? From there, we have come to the point where basically we have become the fourth largest nation for the space program. We can have our own basically craft in the south pole of the moon, and now we are basically Gaganyaan and other mission. We are basically trying to explore the space further, right? Where does it work from? There only. Okay, go next. So I think the last picture signifies India is on a move upwards in the technology space. Okay, and the foundation of basically India's move upwards has been laid in the programs like basically what Sir is here, and other programs like Startup India, Digital India, Make in India, India Semiconductor Mission, and so on and so forth. So foundation has been laid by this program. And on this foundation, we have been able to build what we call is digital public infrastructure at a scale which can basically touch every citizen at a population scale, right? And some example of it is basically Aadhaar. How many of you have Aadhaar? Only few? I thought everybody has Aadhaar. Yeah, हाथ उठाने में problem हो रही है. How many use UPI? How many times a day? How many people use it more than 10 times a day? Okay. Things like ONDC, which is helping small merchants to get on the e-commerce bandwagon. Vande Bharat, the basically complete modern train, and things like Bhashini, which Sir's colleagues are developing at MIT for translation from any Indian language to any Indian language. I think in another 5 years, all the discussion about this language, you are from this state, this language, that language. I don't want to be specific since I am in Maharashtra, but all the differences will go away We'll come to a day where I am speaking in basically one language, you are automatically real-time listening in other language. So there will no barrier, right? I'll be speaking in Hindi, he can listen it, Mr. PSM, right? He can, we have a movie called PS2, right? Since nobody can pronounce the full name of it, then they started calling it PS2. That's why I'm calling it PSM, right? So I think the Bhashini type of the programs will, if not in next 5 years, next 10 years, there will be no language barrier in India. I can pick up a phone call, talk in Marathi, the other end person will listen in Punjabi, Bengali, whatever it is, right? So that's the kind of the program we are doing. And the impact of this is, we are fourth largest economy today. I need to update this slide. Number one in the digital payment in the world, twice over. If you take rest of the world combined, we do 2 times more digital payments every day, right? We are data consume number one, thanks to all the people sitting in the backside, late night binge watching. We are number 2 in the mobile production, number 2 startup ecosystem, number 3 in railways, and number 2 in the roads. And our mission, at least, my dream is by 1947, all of these numbers should become number 1, right? That's where we are aiming for as a part of Viksit Bharat. So, if you look at electronics and semiconductor, which is the topic for today's discussion, and to motivate all of you, what is the current situation? In 2023, we consume about $200 billion of basically electronic devices as consumers, right? You buy mobile phone, we buy all this equipment, this, everything is electronics, right? So $200 billion of electronics we consume. Out of that, basically $40 billion was semiconductors, okay? Big numbers, lot of zeros, right? Now, when we reach 2030, the electronics consumption in the country will go to $500 billion, right? That's the expectation and projections are there, right? And out of that, about $130 billion will be the semiconductors, right? Again, huge number. But if you look at the numbers in 2047, it's mind-blowing, right? We will have 3 trillion of basically electronics consumption by 2047, right? And $810 billion of semiconductor consumption. If we look today, the world market for semiconductor is about 600 billion, right? So India will be consuming more semiconductors than the whole world is consuming today by 2047, right? Can you go next, please? And if you see the impact of this thing, right? Today we are about, electronics make about 5.8% of the GDP. By 2047, we will be 10.2% of India's GDP at that time, which will be one of the largest contributor to the GDP at that time. And also, it has the potential of creating 10 crore jobs, direct and indirect, at that particular time, right? So I think electronics and semiconductor will become one of the most important contributor to India's progress toward the Viksit Bharat. A lot of you are here, we have heard about Operation Sindoor, yesterday's debate in Lok Sabha and all of those things, right? I think the crux of this, not a single basically thing would have worked without basically electronics and semiconductor. It's not basically soldier on a foot anymore. It's all completely electronics warfare, which is basically practically driven by the electronics and semiconductors, right? Without electronics and semiconductor, this could not have happened, right? So that's where you see the basically importance. Not a single device would have worked without electronics and semiconductor, right? So I think just to highlight further on the need for India to become product nation, I just want to play a small clip by our Honorable Minister Ashwini ji. Can you play the clip, please?
I'll make very quick 3 points here. The first point is, we as a country have been a great service nation. Now we must become a product nation also. Service nation is a great industry that must continue to grow, but simultaneously we must now also become a product nation. So whatever you are seeing here today is basically some of the steps in that journey. That journey would involve software products as well as hardware products. Both categories, and within hardware, analog products and digital products. That's the thought process with which we are moving.
So I think it's not just we technologists or industry people are saying, I think government also recognizes that we have to basically graduate our technical prowess to making products now, right? Not just this, basically in last 10 speeches by the minister on any technical platform, always talked about product nation, right? So I think the product nation is becoming basically theme for India march towards the Viksit Bharat. So what does product do? India has been known for IT services. We have basically very big market for IT services. And if you say manufacturing is also kind of service because we are making somebody's product. It's not like automobile manufacturing or steel manufacturing. In electronics manufacturing, it's done on the contract manufacturing basis. Somebody give me a product and I manufacture, right? So that's also kind of service, right? So product give rise to manufacturing and product give rise to services. When I have a product, then I can have services around it, right? If I can't make a laptop, then basically what will I do with everything? So we have done very well on the manufacturing side and we have done very well on the services side. India today manufactures a lot of basically mobile phones and other electronic devices, but as a service. Because manufacturing is a service. Now using those two things, we need to basically make the products so that our service and manufacturing industry also becomes sustainable. Today we are dependent on other people's product to manufacture. Tomorrow if they decide to go somewhere else, suppose Bangladesh is giving better PLI than India, they will go there. They have no allegiance to India, right? So our manufacturing industry and service industry will not be self-sustained if we don't have our own products, right? So that's the basically impact of this thing. And obviously, as I said, that it is necessary for strategic autonomy, right? Any country which has their own products, today we say BrahMos and all those things, but still BrahMos is not our product. We are basically it's a Western product. We are I want to see where we are making our own BrahMos, just like Agni and other things, right? Next, please. So, where are we in the journey for the product nation, right? Today, if we see, we said 200 billion we are consuming, we'll go to consume 500 billion in 2030, right? Today, basically, global brands in electronics are basically 90% share, okay? And 10% shares are basically Indian brands across all the products. If I take mobile phones, does anybody carry an Indian branded phone? How many of you have Chinese branded phones, which involves Oppo, Vivo, Xiaomi, OnePlus, all of those things? How many of you have Chinese brand phones? अरे यार सबके पास वही होगा या सबके पास iPhone है? Okay, so we have this 5-6 Chinese brands and then basically Samsung and Apple, right? 99.5% of the Indian mobile market is by foreign companies' product. Whether manufactured here, it doesn't matter, but the products belong to basically foreign countries, less than 10%. Now, what does it have impact? We cannot have a strategic sovereignty because we don't know what is going in these devices, where the communication is happening. Economic implication, we have mobile phone market of about $35 billion today, which we are giving in the platter to these foreign companies, okay? And components, right? We talk about semiconductor chips and other electronic component and so on and so forth. But if the product is not mine, then who decides what chip goes into a phone or a router or something? The product guy decides, right? I'm not deciding. If I make a mobile phone processor chip today, who's going to buy? Chinese companies are not going to buy from me. Apple is not going to buy from me. Samsung is not going to buy from me. But if I had a cell phone company or mobile smartphone company today in India, I have some prayer that basically that company will buy from me. So that's the component implication and obviously employment implications because products give rise to high value employment. manufacturing, if you take electronics manufacturing, right, the average salary is basically at 25,000 rupees per month, right? Okay, which is very low. If you have product basically employment, then you are talking about, like my friend from Qualcomm is sitting here, what kind of salaries are there, right? Average 30-40 lakhs basically per person, right? 2 points right there. If you are basically have employment of 20-25,000 rupees per month, they don't generate any indirect employment because खुद का काम ही चल जाए बहुत है, right? But if you are earning 30 lakh rupees per year, you give rise to 3 or 4 indirect employment. So huge difference basically in the employment if we create the product-based employment. Next, please. So this is where the electronic system value chain from a product which sells for $100 in the market, who makes how much, right? So I'm not going to go in detail, but let's take an example of iPhone. The typical value, let's assume it's $1,000, right? Maybe it's slightly lower, some higher, depending on the model, right? Does anybody know out of the $1,000 how much Apple makes? Not 900, but Apple makes about $500 to $600 out of 1,000 as a gross profit or gross margin. Do you know how much Foxconn, which is the largest manufacturer of the iPhone, how much they make? $50, right? So Apple makes $50 the revenue. If you take gross profit, it's probably $25, right? So Apple makes $600 of the gross profit and Foxconn make $25 of the gross profit. So who is the winner? Product guys or manufacturing guys? Product guys, right? So all the economic benefit in terms of basically gross profit, in terms of basically reach and everything goes to the product guys. And we can look at the rest of the things about basically how the whole ecosystem, who makes how much, right? Even in the chip side, right? If a chip is sold for $100, right? Manufacturing guys make very little, 25% of it, right? Again, just like Apple, Qualcomm makes out of $100, $50 Qualcomm makes, right? TSMC makes basically less than $25 out of it, right? So again, the product guy is supreme, and that's why basically if you look at the largest semiconductor companies today, all of them are fabulous product companies, right? People said TSMC is less than 1/3 of NVIDIA. Okay, about $1 trillion out of $4 trillion, right? But Samsung, Apple, AMD, NVIDIA, they are the largest chip companies, right? Apple also makes its own chips, pretty big in that sense, right? So they are the largest companies, right? Manufacturing will always come second. Next. So all of this gyan is good, but how does it translate into the opportunity for India, right? So today, basically, out of $200 billion, we are about 10% of the products coming from India, right? Suppose we take a mission goal that by 2030, we will have 1/3 of the products coming from India, okay? What does it do? Out of $500 billion, it creates an opportunity of $166 billion, right? Which is not there yet, right? We have an untapped potential of $166 billion, right? If we take semiconductor chips, today, out of the $44 billion consumption, we make less than 1%. There also, through India Semiconductor Mission and other DLI scheme and all those things, if we take a goal of 33%, right, that creates a opportunity of $45 billion, basically, in 2030. We have less than $500 million of the semiconductor products, probably a couple of $100 million semiconductor products coming out of India, right? So there is a huge opportunity. Can you go next, please? And this opportunity probably in 2047 will multiply it by 10x, right? $45 billion opportunity will become $500 billion or $1 trillion opportunity, because when we are consuming $3 trillion of electronics product and we make up our mind that 50% of those products will be Indian products, right? That means $1.5 trillion opportunity is in front of us. So I think by 2047, I think most of us would have become too old. So I think it's for up to you guys that basically to make that happen. That $1.5 trillion opportunity is knocking your door. And if you basically choose to do so, I think you can make the difference. Now, what are the main domains of growth in semiconductors? So AI ML obviously is the most driving factor, right? So why NVIDIA is so big? Can AI exist without semiconductors? Yes, no? Why so? I'll just give an anecdote. When I was doing my PhD in 1989, I spent about 1 year in basically AI, ML, or basically whatever it was called there, right? At that time, for simulating a 1000 parameter neural network, it will take a small supercomputer. Okay. Today, you can basically simulate billions of parameter model very easily, even on the phone, right? So this phenomenal growth of the semiconductor compute and the memory capacity has made AI what it is today. Otherwise, we'll be solving the toy problem basically just like I did during my PhD, right? We'll be not able to solve any real life problem. And that's why semiconductors and the memory are so important and crucial for AI. And that's why all the AI semiconductor company, you can see they are doing so well, right? Be it Qualcomm, be it Broadcom, everybody is coming up with their products with the AI inbuilt, right? And the other basically application sectors which are growth, automobile and EV, consumer electronics, telecom, medical, energy, space, defense. We have large opportunity there. We have seen that in the current basically Operation Sindhu. Can you go next, please? I want to come quickly to the section which is more relevant to the students. So these are some areas where basically technology is basically developing very fast and the need for those technology is basically significant. So hardware security, every device will need a security. Custom chips. Earlier only 5-6 companies will make the chip which are semiconductor companies. Today BMW wants to make their own chip. Mercedes wants to make their own chip. So those are the custom chips which are working on. मेरे हाथ में ठीक नहीं है कुछ सा ठीक है चल रहा है okay architecture explosion because of AI ML we don't have the standard architecture basically von Neumann or whatever we call it, right? There's so many different architectures are coming and the architecture explosion is happening. Uh, 3D packaging is becoming very important because we cannot keep making bigger and bigger chips, so we need to stack the chips to make basically more powerful systems. Wireless functionality in every chip, we need wireless everywhere, right? This mic, this basically mouse, your phone, Wi-Fi router, smart meter, everything in next generation devices will require a wireless capability of some kind or other. It could be cellular, it could be Wi-Fi, it could be Zigbee, it could be LoRa, whatever it is, it has to be basically, my prediction is in 10 years, every chip will have a wireless functionality. Very important for India because we don't have too much of wireless capability in Indian companies, like obviously global companies are working on it, but no Indian company has that IP, right? Photonics and vertical integration of various technologies. I think I'm not going to spend much time because my friend is going to do more on this thing. I'm going to just focus on this part of the what the government is doing to make the ecosystem. One is the manufacturing, which is probably is going to talk more about. Second is basically startup support through the scheme like DLI, which I was the part of the conceptualization of the DLI scheme. But I'm going to talk about basically more relevant things which are education related, right? So today India has the largest deployment of semiconductor EDA tools across the academic institution in the world, right? The largest deployment free of the cost. Under the C2S program, 270 institutes have already got the EDA tools, okay? And probably 100 more will be added in next basically 6 months or so, right? They are going to basically use these tools for design and teaching and some research also, right? So, second important thing is 2022, AICT approved a new BTech program in VLSI design, electronics and VLSI design. Just like 20 years back, we started ECE branch, right, in the country. Nothing has changed so far. In the meantime, computer science guys have added 20 branches. Okay, computer science and data science, computer science and AI, computer science and ML. I went to one of the colleges; they have 18 different variations of the computer science degree. Okay. What have we done? EC in 2000, EC today, nothing, no improvement, right? So I think I worked with a couple of IT directors and pitched to AICT that it is the right time to start a BTech program in electronics and VLSI design. After 2 years of lobbying through industry, through academic institution, through MIT, finally AICT approved 2 programs. One is a diploma program for manufacturing and a full degree program. And now about more than 300 basically institutes have already started offering the BTech in VLSI design. So answer to your question, sir. Next year we have to start the basically BTech in VLSI design, and I can give more justification as we go along. And we are basically supporting infrastructure through the chip install to manage all this infrastructure, right? EDA tools and all the IPs and all those things will be managed by CDAC. Now, if you look at the top right bullet, right, that's where the opportunity is, right? We have demand for 1.25 lakh engineers, high-end design engineers in next 5 years, right? If I look at the last 2 years of fresh college hiring, it's about basically about 20,000 people got hired. Okay, and if I look at the internship number, it should be almost 1.5 times of that, right? So the opportunity is very large. There is job for everybody, and little bit going to talk. So I think a lot of people and the parents, when we say they come for counseling, should they take computer science or EC or VLSI design, right? I think we have to educate them that basically there is large job opportunity. If your child is going to do EC with VLSI design specialization or BTech in VLSI design or MTech in VLSI design, there is no dearth of job, no dearth of quality jobs, right? So I think people sitting here, how many of you want to have a career in chip design area? All the BTech students. Come on guys, nobody? Then why are you here? How many of you want to have a job in IT? One. And rest of them bekar. Huh? How many of you want to have a job in IT sector? IT sector में किसको job चाहिए? Like Wipro, Infosys, TCS. How many people want to do a job in IT sector? Are you able to understand my question? How many of you don't want to have a job in IT sector? How many of you want to have a job in chip design sector? Lot of you, that's what it is, right? So there are a lot of opportunities for you, okay? We are all here to help. My friend from Qualcomm is there, from the basically SCL is there. Lot of us are basically all the time available to help you out in your coursework, your projects, your career counseling, whatever we need to do. We need to make you comfortable and excited about having a job opportunity in this area. Help me. So, if I look at the global vision, what kind of the ecosystem we need to build for basically becoming a product nation, right? We need to have products. Products are always the driver, right? If we don't have a cars, we don't have the spare parts, right? It's not that if you have a spare part, somebody will start making the cars, right? You have to have basically car builders to have a spare part industry. We need to have car builder to have manufacturing industry. So we need to have products to have basically manufacturing industry, both electronics and chips. You need EMS for electronics, we need fab, ATMP and all of those things for chip design, right? And obviously for supporting this, we need a basically strong talent ecosystem, strong talent pipeline and opportunity for everybody. Can you go next? Now, to achieve this, basically we have to apply and think of a balanced approach, right? I think sir talked about $15 billion of basically incentive. 99% has gone to manufacturing. Okay. If we want to truly become product nation, then we need to create a balanced basically ecosystem, incentive, focus, where at least 20% of the incentives are going to products and 80% can go to the manufacturing because it's capex heavy. So think about if we have spent $15 billion of incentive on manufacturing, and that's just semiconductor. If I add electronics to it, you add another 30 billions to it, right? So about $40 billion we have spent on the manufacturing incentive. Now if you take 10% of that, how much is that? 20% of 40 billion, how much is that? 8 billion, right? That will change our basically landscape. India will basically have the right resources, right incentive to become basically a product nation. Right now we have basically hardly 200 million towards the product and 40 billion towards the basically 40 billion towards the basically manufacturing. So we need to have a balanced approach as we go forward. I think initially it was needed because we did not have anything in the manufacturing, but now we have done it. Going forward, if we can create a 80-20 approach, I think that will help both the sector and balance basically product nation approach, right? Can you go next? Similarly, I think this is little bit critical, so take it with basically little bit of where I am going to. I have visited about more than 100 colleges basically in last 2.5 years, right? And met almost 200 faculty. Not a single faculty member asked me about teaching. Everybody wanted to talk about their research. Okay, but if you look our stakeholders in the education framework, 90% of our students are BTech students, right? Okay, they are not doing any research. They just want to learn their skills, learn their subject, go out there and do the job, right? So I think we need to provide the proper attention. We can do research and all those things, but still our main job is teaching. Okay, we need to bring back the focus on teaching, not just research, right? I think that's the, maybe IITs can do it, let them do it, right? But institutes like MIT, WPU and similar institute, we need to serve our basically stakeholders, right? Which is the students and parents. They want good education, they want a good job. Maybe 2% of them will go do MTech and research, but 99% of them will want to get a job, right? For them, we have to motivate and incentivize our faculty as much as basically we incentivize research. So I have a suggestion, sir, since you are the management, right? If a faculty does a tape out in our industry, you give the weightage equal to 5 papers. Okay? So So then basically when we go to NERF ranking and all of those things, we give 5 points basically for a tape out equal to 5 papers, so that people are more interested in basically teaching students what they know rather than publishing some papers, right? And that too, not impact papers, just numbers, right? So I am not saying that we should not do that, but we need to have the balance, right? So we need to incentivize a good teacher, a good basically person who just wanted to teach. I may not want to do research, right? I don't want, I want to just teach. Why that basically faculty members is not as recognized as basically person who is producing 10 papers, right? I think we need to create that balance. And I am seriously saying this from the heart, because I see the degradation in a lot of institutions, right? May not be here, but we need to pay particularly attention to that, right? Next, please. Now, everybody talks about industry-academia partnership, right? And I've been sitting on the panels like this basically for last 25 years talking about the same subject. Neither we have done anything, neither academia has done anything. Real testing, right? So I visited 2-3 institutes in Pune yesterday, and one basically I think thing came out in discussion is, right, before we talk about industry-academia partnership, let's first create academia-academia partnership. Okay, I have felt basically, don't know Pune that well, but when I go to other cities, 2 institutes basically 5 kilometers away, working on same basically semiconductor subject and VLSI subject, have not talked to each other for 10 years, right? So if we don't come together, we can do more than individually, right? Obviously, every field has competition, right? Like we created ISA platform 2005, all the competing companies and created this platform so everybody could benefit, right? So first we need to basically do this thing. So VLSI Society is creating regional chapters. We have created in 6 states. We plan to do it in Maharashtra very soon, where we will bring all the academic institutes and companies together so that they can work on the common causes, conferences, workshop, trainings, this, that. So if you are holding this conference, why the 5 other institute guys are not there? Right? They should all come. If basically COEP is holding some conference, we should be there, right? I think that kind of cooperation we have to build. But for industry academia collaboration, the journey starts with a quality education, as I was saying, right? That will basically give some percentage of people will go to the research. Some people out of that will creating technology, which will result into basically products and startups and so on and so forth. But if we don't do a good job here, nothing of that is going to happen. Okay, so that's why I keep insisting education, education, education. Let's do our best job. Rest of the things will follow. And this is obviously academia driven, that industry driven. Right? Go next, please. I think we had this slide before. Can you go? So 5 minutes on the career. How are we doing on time? Okay, to 5 minutes. Okay. So I was talking about parents and school students, right? When we go and talk to them, the first perception among the students is basically hardware is hard, okay, software is easy. Do you guys feel that way? Right? Students? If you don't know the answer, right? So just to basically address this myth, okay, hardware is really not hard. Today when we do chip design, basically we write the code just like basically you write the Python code or Node.js, Java, whatever it is, right? We write the code in Verilog. It's another language, right? And then through the help of the tools, basically we convert into a chip. That's how we design the chip. We are not basically making one transistor at a time, right? We write a code, we write C is equal to A plus B, and the adder comes, right, automatically. I don't have to design the adder comes, right? I say C is equal to A into B, multiplier comes, right? I have to just say this one statement, right? C is equal to A plus B, and the tools will insert a adder there. I don't have to design it myself, right? So that's how basically easy, maybe 20% more involved than writing a Python program, but it is all, chip design is all software. There is hardly any hardware in the chip design, right? So we are all using the EDA tools, simulation on the machines, everything basically. We don't have any physical object till the chip comes back from the fab, right? So it's all software, right? Second thing, we talk about the plenty of jobs. There are 1.25 lakhs, basically very high paying jobs available for all of you, right? We have this discussion in industry forum that we are not finding the enough talented engineers, right? And that discussion is going off for now, not now, tens of years, and it will keep going till we do something about it, right? So jobs, plenty of jobs. I think we don't have to worry about it, okay? And package is very good, right? We were talking before this session that a typical package in a semiconductor product company like Intel, NVIDIA, AMD, Qualcomm, and so on and so forth is at least 3 times better than a typical IT job package. So 3 concerns which basically parents and students have, either people who are going to join the college or people who already joined the college, is that, is this subject too hard? Not really true. Do we have plenty of jobs? Yes, we have plenty of jobs, and I can say basically working in the industry for 30 years, right, there are plenty of jobs for the good basically, and very good package. One of the best package in across any industry you get basically in this field, right? Now, what are we doing to basically enable students to have right skill sets before they go to the industry? So VLSI Society of India is launching a program called One Tops, 1 tape out per student. Okay? So our aim is that every student who is specializing in VLSI design, either EC student or a BTech in electronics and VLSI design, should do a real SOC tape out before they graduate. Not just a adder, not just a multiplier, not just A to D, not just a PLL, right? They should do a complete SOC tape out before basically they graduate. And we are launching One Tops program from the coming September. We will start with the 20 such basically projects because we want to begin with basically giving it a proper attention. But in 2 to 3 years, we will basically expand it to every student, right? That's the goal, right? So if our students do a real SOC tape out before they graduate on a decent technology node like 55 nanometer or something like that, right? I think maybe my friend from Qualcomm can tell whether they will have enough opportunities in the industry. That's what we want, right? If the guy has done a tape out, he knows everything which we do. We also do the same thing in the industry. Sitting there, we write a Verilog code, do the verification, do the DFT, do the physical design, do the physical design verification. That's what we do, and that's exactly what they are going to do under this One Tops program. And basically, wow, they are ready. They can be productive from the day one. They can choose their subject within the basically what they learn. They can be DFT engineer, they can be physical design engineer, they can be verification, they can do anything. But they will learn everything from end to end, from specification to tape out to basically fabrication. We don't have to do fabrication, right? As a fabless company, I never did the fabrication. Just I interacted with the fab, guided them, whatever it is, because our company was slightly different. But if I am Intel, I don't know what's happening in the fab. I just design my chip, throw the database at the fab guys, and I'm done, right? So I think if we can do basically 1 tape out per student before they graduate, we'll create the world's best basically talent for the semiconductor industry. Same with the startups, right? People say hardware startups are very expensive. Who says so? Can you tell me e-commerce company which has not raised basically $500 million and burnt it, not just raised it, burnt it. Okay? Their basically losses are basically hundreds of millions of dollars, right? You look at any company, Flipkart after 20 years is not profitable today. Okay? Same with Big Basket, same with basically any large basically software company. So it's a myth that basically hardware startups are very hard, take a lot of money, every startup takes money. Maybe in different phases, but every startup takes money. And PSM is going to talk, Dr. PSM is going to talk about basically how DLI and other things. I skipped the DLI portion just because he is going to talk about it. how through DLI program we are enabling the semiconductor startups also, right? So same with basically this thing. Everything takes time. I don't know of any e-commerce company which is profitable till today. You know? No, right? Billions and billions of dollars spent. Next. Can you go next? Don't go all the way, just one by one. Here are some courses we suggest, basically people where we don't have the full courses, but that we can discuss later. So these are the 4 courses, they are elective for EC student. Once we have the BTech program, then basically it's a full-fledged curriculum which we can share with you. Next, please. Different type of the jobs, design, manufacturing, R&D, everything. Chip design, various verticals of this. Keep going. Yeah, we are out of time, right? Go. Different phases of the chip design, everywhere you get the basically opportunities, right? So many different basically pieces of it, right? Next, please. They are set of the companies which are there. Again, every large semiconductor company has a presence in India, and that's why we have so many job opportunities, right? These are the companies which are present in India. So we want to go from 10% to 50% by 2047. What I said in the beginning, we only produce 10% of the products which we consume as Indian products. We want to go from 10% to 15%. We don't want to be isolated economy. We want to work with everybody. 50% is yours, 50% is mine. Next, please. Okay, just stop. How many people recognize this? All the gray hair people not allowed. I think anybody below 30 who knows this? Huh? At least you know the people. How many know the characters on this photo? Most of you know. So maybe people who are born in 670s and before, right? Can you tell where is this scene from? Diwar. Okay, one of the most iconic picture of basically Amitabh Bachchan, right? Can you go next, please? One click only. What is the most famous dialogue of the movie? Mere paas maa hai, right? That's what basically I think we all remember from Diwar, right? Now, putting this dialogue and the movie in the context of our discussion today. Can you go next, please? Mere paas market hai. We saw that we are basically $200 billion market today, going to 500 to 3 trillion, right? So we have strong market. We have manpower, all of you. Okay? Go back, go back, go back. You are killing the fun. Go back. And manufacturing we have through ISM and PLI and all those things, we have created a good manufacturing base, right? Now, what was missing in Diwar? The father was missing in Diwar, right? Because he died early, right? So, we need power. We need products to basically complete the story, right? We have market, we have manpower, we have manufacturing. If we can complement all of these things with the products, I think we can have a nation which can become a very strong product nation by 2047. So thank you so much, and thanks for the opportunity.
Good morning, all of you.
Yes,
I'm
Amrit.
Dr. Harshali Zodpe, one of the coordinators of the Semiconductor Conclave 2025 event. And after the impactful talk delivered by sir, I'm really nervous to speak anything. But anyways, I thank Dr. Satya Gupta sir for the enlightening and interactive keynote that powerfully mapped India's journey towards becoming a global semiconductor and electronics leader. We are deeply grateful for your guidance and motivation to building an innovation-driven semiconductor future for our nation. Sir, I assure you on behalf of all my students that we will be definitely be part of this Mission India 2047 and will make all our efforts to contribute towards this mission. Moving ahead, it is my privilege to introduce our next keynote speaker, Dr. Paneerselvam Madan Gopal sir. Sir is the Chief Executive Officer of Mighty Startup Hub, Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, and Additional Director at Digital India, Government of India. With over 20 years of experience in innovation, strategic growth, and ecosystem development, he brings deep insight and visionary leadership to India's startup and digital transformation landscape. In the past 8 months as CEO, he has accelerated Mighty Startup Hub's mission through impactful collaborations, capacity building programs, and ecosystem-wide engagements. Previously, he served as Vice President and Chief Innovation Officer at T-Hub and held leadership roles across industry and academia. A recognized speaker and thought leader, his work continues to shape the future of innovation and entrepreneurship in India. I now request Dr. Parul Jadhav Madam to please felicitate Paneerselvam sir. Thank you, ma'am. I now request sir to deliver his keynote address on the topic, Government Initiatives and Plans under India Semiconductor Mission, Digital India, and Mighty Startup Hub. Over to you, sir.
Very good morning to all of you. Can you hear me in the last benches, last rows? Can you hear me? Yes or no? Okay, good. So, first of all, thank you, the entire team, MIT, WPU. I think it's a fantastic university. It's my first time in this university, so it's really amazing to see the kind of infrastructure, the kind of energy. And thank you for having me for this conclave, ma'am. Thank you, the entire team of Semiconductor Conclave. Every hall we speak or every room we speak has an ambience. This all has an aura, right? So it's a very powerful and a wonderful aura that I can sense and I can feel. I think it's an amazing environment for the students to get groomed in what they are planning to do for the next rest of their life. So you know, MIT WPU team, I think you're doing a wonderful job by bringing in both education driven by value system. I think that's what I sense, and that's what I get as a very clear message in this you know, ecosystem here. So thank you so much and for having me. I'm not sure how much time I have, but if you can let me know briefly, and I'll kind of pace my session accordingly. It's a very, very tough act to follow after Dr. Satya Gupta ji. It is extremely you know, an eye-opening presentation, very interesting. You know, we are, in my early part of my career, I was a qualitative researcher, and research are all about storytelling. And wonderful story, sir, today you know, kind of told us how Viksit Bharat 2047 can be unlocked through the semiconductor dimension. I think that's very, very important. I'm sure the students and including me and all of us have taken a very important note on that. Thank you for that. So it's from our perspective, I think every stakeholder in the ecosystem today is building or contributing to the 2047 Viksit Bharat story, and government is kind of driving, and we are very fortunate to be part of this journey towards 2047. There is no, I have been extremely blessed and really fortunate. There is no better ministry to be in the country today than being in Ministry of Electronics and IT, isn't it? Would you agree or no? Right? Because it is a very powerful future shaping industry that is going to be. So and it is, I can assure you that no stone is left unturned to ensure that India 2047 will be a fantastic story from the ministry side, not from just the ministry side, at the entire government perspective. But it's also time for all other stakeholders to chip in, because nations are not built by just government. It's built by society. It's built by communities. It's built by actually by its citizens. So it's very important for all of us to play our role in this whole journey. So essentially, there are three things. I think there are, one is I'll talk about why we need to be focusing on semiconductors and electronics. Sir spoke about Atmanirbhar Bharat. I think it's extremely critical to really focus on Atmanirbhar Bharat. Second is I'll talk about what is a startup, how the startup ecosystem is contributing to the entire nation building activity. And last but not the least, how MeitY Startup Hub, the organization that I lead, along with other organizations in the Ministry of Electronics IT, such as India Semiconductor Mission, India AI Mission, India Cyber Security Program, and of course other schemes that are there for you to benefit out of. So that is kind of I'll structure. Sir, you mentioned again, hardware is a very important element. So if you look at nation building, if you look at, there's one wonderful quote that I really like from Steve Jobs. Anybody aware of Steve Jobs? Yeah, Steve Jobs, yeah, we all know. I'm a big fan of him. I read his autobiography probably within like 1.5 days. It's a fat book. It's not easy to finish. 1.5 days I finished it. But it's the powerful quote is, anybody who is serious about software will build their own hardware. Right? I think it's extremely important for us to understand that as a nation, we are moving towards this, to kind of dictate the kind of global narrative. We need to be having a very powerful manufacturing ecosystem, not just in electronics, across. Right? The value addition and the value creation that happens through software is definitely great. But if you look at through manufacturing, and if you're looking at the current geopolitical situation, we really need to focus upon manufacturing as a very important area to be self-reliant, not just self-reliant, self-sustaining, but also even in terms of self-defense. Because electronics and manufacturing today playing a very, very vital role. And I'm proud that many of our startups played a very important role in the recently, Operation Sindoor. So startups, first time in the Indian history of defense, played a very vital role in a defense program. So nation building is extremely important, and one of the important aspects of nation building is to contribute at our level, at each and every level, and academia play a very, very important role. And all this while our journey, our growth has been largely powered by, for want of better word, I would say middle class aspirations. Right? How do I go from a hatchback to a sedan? How do I upgrade from my 32-inch LED to a 45-inch LED? That has been the driver of our aspiration that we all been working hard. I think today, or rather in the last last decade, we have come together and say it's now as a nation we put together a mandate and an agenda to kind of move towards building a very, very Viksit Bharat 2047. I think that's why the mission, Make in India, Atmanirbhar Bharat, and this whole Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, we kind of started with that and kind of give this national narrative to contribute to nation building. And each one of us have a role to play in that. And I am very, very fortunate to be in this role where we are at METI Startup Hub as enablers of enablers. We are here to enable the enabling partners such as academic institutions, incubators, accelerators to drive startups in the country. So that's our primary role. So essentially, the whole nation building activity starts right at the early stage. So I'm glad that MIT WPU is doing this activity at a very fundamental step, which is at the student level, because every student who passes out has a responsibility to contribute to nation building, right? That's the very important message that I would like to share. And we all in our small role play a very vital contribution to this activity, which means with power or with knowledge and comes responsibility also. So we need to look at how we can contribute and how we can drive. So there are there are many ways that you can do, and one of the ways is to kind of it's about building a very deep sense of commitment, or what we call deep work. We all talk about deep tech, but it's also about deep work. How many of you heard of this concept called deep work? Very difficult in today's time and era, because deep work is focused work without distraction, without mobile phones, without social media, so that is what will actually be very, very critical at this stage, to kind of focus on what we do. So essentially, deep work that translates into something very, very powerful, and we wish it translates into deep tech. Right, and that is something that is where our focus area is in the main Ministry of Electronics and IT. So we are looking at 2 or 3 key areas, and especially from the India's semiconductor mission, there are multiple opportunities that the students can benefit from. So, and also from METI Startup Hub, the organization I lead. So I'll probably touch upon the METI Startup Hub role to be what we are really looking at, and then I will cover what the India Semiconductor Mission does, or even the India AI Mission does, so for anybody who's interested in the AI space can also benefit from that. First and foremost, METI Startup Hub, kind of is a hub that started with about the purpose of delivering 3 M's. Sir said 3 M's is market, manpower, and not bad, right? So 3 M's. So we also have 3 M's in our kind of thought process, which is mentoring, market access, and money, right? I think the most important M, right? So we have the first and foremost for any startup or any innovator and any young ideator from this group needs a lot of mentoring. And that is something that we are extremely focused upon sharing with our startups and our young innovators and entrepreneurs. So that is the first thing. So we kind of create this opportunity to access technical mentors, business mentors, and more importantly, an anchoring mentor who will guide you through the entire journey of your startup life stage. Because I always say first 1,000 days is very important in a startup. That is about approximately 3 years. And that is extremely critical. You need an anchoring mentor to guide you through that journey of the first 1,000 days. How many faculties in the room? Wonderful. So they are your first mentors by default, right? And that is why it's very important as faculties. I always, when I talk in academic institutions, I always request the faculties to have a mentoring approach, which is very, very critical, because they are you are their first port of call when they have an idea, right? When a student has an idea, when a student has a solution, they more or less 90% or 99%, I can tell them, they approach the faculties. So, as faculties, you can actually make it or break it then and there, right? Because if you say, no, you first go and study what your tomorrow you have a test, first go and study your portions, then it is more or less done, right? So it's important for faculties, my humble request for the faculties here to kind of support, encourage thought process. And I always give this analogy of a Google map. what I learned from a Google Map, or what I've been telling for last few years, is Google Map doesn't, anybody has used Google Map? Not used it? Everybody has used it, right? What is the interesting feature about Google Map that you know? Google Maps? Rerouting, correct, ma'am, absolutely. So when you take a wrong turn, Google Map doesn't yell at you, stupid fellow, why did you take left? It doesn't say that, right? It says it automatically quietly reroutes to the right destination that the destination you want to go. I think faculties and mentors have to have that approach, saying, hey, I will now be quietly guide the student to the right destination, and approach be a mentor in that way. And to my mind, sir, this whole partnership between academia and industry we have been talking about. I think partnership between student and faculty also is extremely critical. And if you look at the best IITs and the best organizations who have built startups, including the E-Plane company in IIT Madras, which is run actually by which a professor as one of the co-founders. The startups that really succeed in the West and in India, at least from an academic perspective, have faculties as co-founders, right? So it's important for you to almost work together with the ideator and the innovator to build this whole startup ecosystem. So the mentoring starts here, and we try to advance it. We take it to the corporate mentor groups, be it business mentorship, be it technical mentorship. So the first M that we offer is actually mentoring. The second M is actually market access, because whenever a startup approaches me, I always look at 2 or 3 questions. The first and foremost is, are you solving a real problem? Right? Are you solving a real problem? Because end of the day, sometimes it's important, we may have a wonderful solution or a technology, but the market may not really warm up to it. The market may not really have that as a requirement. So it's important to solve a real problem. Second, the most important part is there someone who is willing to pay for the solution? I think that's very, very critical, because end of the, if you don't have a customer, no matter how wonderful your solution is, it's not going to be really useful for them, because somebody has to pay for the solution. I think that's something which you need to keep in mind. And third, but at last not the least, is the solution scalable? Because sir spoke about market. Market is the sheer size of the Indian opportunity is so mammoth that you need to have a very scalable solution to make a big impact on the startup, to grow your organization. So these are fundamentally 3 things that we look at in a startup, and that means that you need to really move towards having a market, and market access is what we really felicitate, or rather facilitate, right? Market access means getting POCs, opportunities to pilot your solutions with corporates, PSUs, and even government. Right? We are launching our first POC to purchase order program, which essentially focuses on doing about 400 POCs with corporates and PSUs and government institutions, with a commitment of at least 30-40% of conversion into purchase orders. So because I always believe customer is your best investor. Right? And customer, if you have a customer, you really don't have to run behind your investors. Your investors will come running behind you if you have customers who are willing to pay for your solution. So as a startup, maybe in semiconductor space, maybe in any other space, these are fundamentally very important things for you to keep in mind. So we facilitate market access. The third M, which is money. And to be very honest, we have a lot of it. Right? Right? Sir spoke about funding, and especially in the semiconductor space, is a very, very important element. So money, when we say money, we have 2 or 3 types of money that we provide. Money in form of grant for research, for early stage entrepreneurs, we call entrepreneur in residence program. We also fund. We are also, as of today, I at MeitY Startup Hub hold about 112 companies funded, and we are on the cap table, or we have rather. I wouldn't want to call ourselves investors, but we have funded 112 startups, and we have the equity in those startups. Right? And by end of April 2026, that number is approximately going to be about 250. So we have significant skin in the game by putting money into the startups that we believe have the opportunity to shape the electronics and IT and deep tech space. And more importantly, we have, so the first step is grant, second step is funding through for equity, and third step is also equity, but large deep tech, large volume money. So if you look at MeitY Startup Hub alone, through us, we have approximately about 850 crores, and India Semiconductor Mission, sir, has close to about 3,500 crores, and India AI Mission has about another 3,500 crores. So approximately MeitY has set aside about 10,000 crores for funding of startup pillars alone, and this is just MeitY. There are 17 other ministries working in the startup space. Startup India recently announced another 10,000 fund of 1 crores, and there is Research and Development Fund recently Prime Minister announced, which is another 60,000 crores. ANRF Anusandhan Research Foundation has a National Quantum Mission, 6,500 crores. So there is absolutely no dearth of money. What we are looking for is commitment from the entrepreneur, from the researcher, to hang in and do it to the long run. Because one of the things that we have been a software or we have been a services company is because we look for instant gratification. As founders, as individuals, as startups, we look for something that we can work. The moment somebody tells me, sir, I want to pitch to you, I've been an early investor in my in my past life. Somebody tells me that I'll give you exit in three years' time, then my exit has started already from the pitch presentation. Because we don't build to exit, we build to grow. Right? We build to build institutions of global or national importance, at least, to ensure that there is a contribution. So, of course, it's important to have the money aspect, very important, but money alone is not the solution. So, we are looking at what I'm here to kind of tell you is there is enough support system, be it in terms of mentoring, be it in terms of market access, be it in terms of money across ministries, across state and central government programs. So there is absolutely no dearth of support for you to start up, and this is the best time. If you are planning to have a startup, this is the best time you can. Yeah, despite that, there's only 1% or 1.5% or 2% people who will become entrepreneurs. There's nothing wrong about working. There are only two choices as a student or as a professional we have today. Either you be an entrepreneur or you work for an entrepreneur. It's as simple as that. It's right. So that is how I let you know there is enough fail-safe mechanism. There is enough ecosystem support. There is more than enough money to be tapped into to kind of ensure that you have a very high success rate. Despite all of this, startups will fail, and we are okay with it, and we are absolutely fine with it. But the truth is, you have a very strong support system that will take you into the success path. So that's one of the important roles of what we do at MSH. And in India Semiconductor Mission also, we have a very again, we have 4 schemes largely geared towards fabs. We have the fab support scheme, and at your level, it is the DLI, design linked incentive, that will be very relevant. So design linked incentives is basically for fabless design startups. We have multiple programs that are available for you. If you are at the early stage, you can take a grant of up to 10 lakh, which will set you up for the first year or so. Then we can fund you up to another for 35 to 50 lakhs in terms of again investment or funding for your pilots and your pilot programs, POCs, and again up to 1 crore in deep tech, and even up to a 5 crore in terms of deep tech fund that is available. So the entire life stage of a startup has been kind of mapped by us, and at every stage of startup we have a scheme or a program that is ready to support you financially from a mentoring perspective and from a mentoring and a market access perspective. So it's just now up to you to hang in there, to pick up the right problem statement, to pick up the right research area, to pick up the right team, and more importantly, the right mentors for you to take you through this journey. And it is the best time to do it. Believe me, there is no better time in the past. When we started, we had to figure it out. We had to really, hustle and get really run from pillar to post. Today we are all coming here, we are sharing what we have to offer, and literally chatbots and emails can and can literally get you the information that you want, and you can really build what you really wish to build. So essentially, the last part of my sharing with you is three things. One, build for future with patience, because it takes time, and it takes time to build good companies. It takes time to build R&D. When we try, a lot of people ask when we go abroad, what is the difference between the Indian startups and when you go and look at the international startups. Primarily, they are actually solving a problem with an intention that they will do it in 5, 7, 10 years, or sometimes even longer, right? But in Indian startups, they're looking for exits very early, which is not something that I would really advise. You need anything that of certain quality, anything of a certain standard takes time to build. And that is why organizations like MeitY Startup Hub or India Semiconductor Mission or even India AI Mission have what our money that we put in is actually very, very patient capital. We are not in a hurry to exit. We are not in a hurry to put you under pressure to say you go into this valuation game. All the e-commerce companies today, what you mentioned, our problem is valuation. Right? In the technology space, we are not putting any pressure on the valuation. You build fundamentally strong products. That is our only ask, right? Fundamentally strong products, and products that of global quality. Because one thing I can assure you, there is no such thing as only Indian market. Today, it is a global market. Every product that we build has to be of global standards at day one. It's not like I will build for India separately and then I will build for world separately. Those days are gone. Right? So there is a very large Indian market that requires a certain standards, and today Indian also has set global standards, because when global standard products can come into India, India also has to send out global products of global standard outside. So you need to set your benchmark very, very high as well. So our ask is fundamentally 2 or 3 things. Focus on product. I think, sir, and I couldn't have emphasized it better than sir, because I think it's very, very important. Build for long term, which is critical. Third is to build with a high quality global standards, which is very, very important, because today, as we say, global world is the opportunity, and if there is a cold in US, we start sneezing the next moment here. So there is such interconnectivity in the global market, especially in the current geopolitical situation. We need to focus on what we are really going to do if there's any challenges. But these are my real pointers that we really want to share with. And of course, most important part is build with the purpose of building nation, because end of the day, all of us have to have a role to build this nation, and that is the vision or Viksit Bharat 2047 is all about. Because it is not just possible by government or any 1 or 2 institutions. It is the role of every one of us to build towards Viksit Bharat and Atmanirbhar Bharat. And thank you for the opportunity that have been given to me. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir. for those enriching and insightful words. About Mighty India also, highlighting how Mighty India roll towards building a nation, guiding on future scope and challenges for the future India as far as electronics and IT industry is concerned. As a faculty, we all ensure you, sir, that we will surely like to take our research and help our students leading the research towards some startups. So after that particular great keynote speaker, it's my again privilege to welcome Mr. H.S. Jatana, sir, our third keynote speaker. Let me introduce a little bit about sir. Sir has received his engineering education from BITS Pilani. He has worked at Rockwell Semiconductor USA as IC design engineer and worked on 65 series of devices. Later he joined SCL, a unit of ISRO. As a group head, he has led the team of 85 scientists who developed 75 standard products for space applications and few CMOS processes like LDMOS, CIS, CCD, radiation hardened, SOI for the use in space and military applications. At present, he is a professor at DAU Gandhinagar and adjunct professor at MNIT Jaipur. He has also worked at AMS Austria in process development and integration for 1.5 years. He has hands-on experience in various domains of silicon manufacturing and process design. So as per our MIT tradition, may I request Parul Jadhav ma'am, our program director, to felicitate Mr. H.S. Jatana, sir. A huge round of applause, please, from the audience. May I request Jatana sir to please present the keynote address.
Morning. Good morning. I think now all of us are convinced about the need of product development, about the various, about the jobs in this particular industry. I think our two experts, they have elaborated in details. So I will just take you a journey from the specification to a qualified product. I will just raise the issues. What are the issues? In terms of figures and diagrams only, less of technical content. Okay, so this is, let me start with the semiconductor industry. It's around 1400, 1500 US billion dollar. It's a highly segmented industry, out of which 600 something billion dollar is the product, is the component, transistor, diodes and things like that. And then around 150, 200 billion dollar is WFE, which we call it wafer fab equipment. Then there is an EDA around 15 billion dollar, test equipments, ATE, gases and chemicals like that. So it's a total size is around 1500 US billion dollar, around 8-9% growth every year. It's a highly segmented industry and having very high efficacy to other industries. So what are the main segments, main verticals? Mainly in the diagram you are seeing the process technology. The process engineers, they are responsible for designing of components like various types of transistors, passive components. They will design, not only the design means how it looks on a wafer, all the dimensions. Huh? इसको बंद कर दो, इसको यूज करना है. Okay, now it's okay. ठीक है. So the process guys, they will design the components. By designing the component, I mean what should be their dimensions, lateral, vertical, all sort of geometries, how it is to be made, what are the gases, what are the chemicals, what are the processes which are required to make a transistor. Similarly for RLC, transistors are various types, more than 100 types. Even a 1.5 transistor, there are 4 or 5 types with the different VTs, high VT, low VT, standard VT, native VT. So all these transistors are different from process point of view. Okay, then there are designers. Most of the job will be IC design engineers, as Dr. Satya told. And design engineers, they will use these components. They are not designing components. They are designing circuits based on these components. So they should know very little about the process. What they should know, the process engineer will make a document which we call it a PDK, Process Design Kit. So all the relevant information is there, but not whatever the designer needs that. Then there is a fab. Fab people will take these mask engineers, they will take the GDS, do something, some optical corrections and RET and all those things they will do beyond, below 350 nanometer. It's not the GDS which the designer gives, which goes in the mask fab. There are so many changes in that. So the mask people, they will do those changes and give it for the making of the masks. Right, and then the fab people, they will take those masks and run the show complete. He will not, by seeing the mask, he will not know whether it's a memory design or an ADC design and things like that. And then there are various other things. I will skip in view of the scarcity of time. So I will go, the bridge between these process, designer and fab is a PDK. This is a complete spectrum from specification to end, to system integration. Design goes in various stages. Various tools are used. There is a standardized flow in case of circuits, VLSI, which is not the case for MEMS devices. So as you can see in this picture, and then fabrication testing. So I will raise some 2-3 issues related to all these segments, which we go in the manufacturing flow, only by, you can say, by showing some figures and things like that. So the linkages between all these three is a PDK. What is a PDK? It carries all the detail which a designer should know. What are the components available? What are the legal components? What are their characteristics? How they can be used? How a designer can use? How a designer can lay out the device? Right? What are the various layers used in the layouting of those? Those are numbered, their color is different. Nowadays the software is very good, but when we were doing design in 84, 85 kind of thing, we had to manually do all these things. The software was not that powerful. So these are some examples of a PDK, what the PDK contains. And PDK also contains their IV characteristics, their parameters, their spice parameters at room temperature, how the spice parameters vary. What is the VT, how the VT vary. There's a global variation, there is a, you can say, a local variation, and the variation with temperature in a different range, minus 55 to 125 degrees centigrade. What are the parasitics of the transistor? So all that information is contained in a PDK. And I suggest you can take anybody's PDK and go through it. There are a few hundred pages. It's a very interesting document which you can understand, and you better take SCL PDK or TSMC PDK if it's available with you and go through those details. You have a specification. How you start? You have to decide which node, because the circuit is specific to the foundry, to a particular node. So you have to decide. How you decide? Your application you have to translate into voltage, current and timing. So based on that you will decide. For example, if you are making a GPU or a CPU or an AI accelerator, naturally you will go from, you have to, if you want high speeds and lot of transistors, some 9 billion transistor circuit, you will go for a below 10 nanometer kind of thing. But if you have a 10-bit ADC, you will not go for that kind of thing. So various, as you can see, the various technology options are available, and the designer, as a designer, you have to first decide in which particular node it suits. Each node has a different cost, and you have to design, have to optimize your cost. If it's very expensive, nobody is going to buy that product. Okay, so in a designer, as you can see in this tool, in this figure, there are various kinds of tools used and things like that, which I think you are already aware. I will not go through this. This is one of the flows. Again, this is a very standardized flow for an analog design, for a digital design. This is a mixed signal. Most of the products are mixed signal. They have some digital content, some analog content. Depending on whether it's a more of a digital or more of an analog, the design flow will change accordingly. So in this diagram, as you can see, it's a standardized flow which we have to follow. For any digital circuit, you don't need very good resistors and capacitors, I mean very precise, but for analog, you need a variety of resistors, what we call it a passive component suite. So resistors can be made in well, can be made in diffusion, can be made in metal, can be made in poly. Each has its own advantages, disadvantages. So all those things you have to study, and that information is available in the process design kit, PDK. And some of the BGT devices, NPN, PNP are also available, and they are not scalable devices. They come in fixed sizes of 3 or 4 different sizes, and most of these technologies, they have these BGT devices, and the process which we call it a BiCMOS, Big MOS process. I will show you some figures of the design which we did. This is a JIT processor, 64-bit processor, which was done by, the coding was done by IIT Bombay, Professor Madhav Desai, and we did all the layout, fabrication, testing work. These blocks, small things you are seeing, it's a scattered memory blocks. This is a NAVIC baseband, our own ISRO GPS. That is the baseband which is there, which can be there in your mobile phone. This is that circuit. And this is one of the LDO. As you can see, the number of transistors here are less. So you can see some of the metal lines going, you can see the pads. Whereas in case of digital, there are more number of gates. So this is another, it's a multi-channel LDO, and this is how the layout will look. This is again a data acquisition system having 16-bit ADC. This is again a voltage reference circuit and an ADC. Okay, so this is again a 24-bit sigma delta. It's basically a radiation hardened circuit which is used in the rocket and satellites. And again, there is a multi-channel. We have 16-channel or that ADC. In between, you are seeing the digital part, and all scattered, they are the analog blocks. Okay, so now I will talk, this is about a reticle. So you see, when you are printing, earlier we used to print the entire, you can say circuit on the entire wafer. But now, when the geometries are below 1 micron, you cannot do that because of the lower size. You have a reticle of a particular size. Like for even a 20 nanometer, 40 nanometer, the reticle size is 28 by 28 nanometer. So 28 by 28 nanometer kind of thing is printed step by step. That is known as a stepper. So one step, second step, third step. So that is known as one reticle. So in that reticle, you can have as many designs. Like as you can see, this is one where we have put around 18 or 19 designs in one reticle, in one mask set. So layers can be 40, 45, depending on the various layers you are used. And so this is just to give you an example. Now comes the designing. Design part is more number of, as from job point of view, naturally more number of engineers are required. It's a highly systematic flow using various design tools, and for a digital circuit. Now comes the, after mask comes the fab. And fabrication, I will spend some 20-25 minutes on the fab part, around 15 minutes on the process. Basically, what are the issues in a process which the IC design engineers may not be relevant, but the process engineer who is doing this, who is making those transistors, and what he has to go through it, I will just give few examples, explain with few examples. You see, in our 180 nanometer node, in 180 or 130, there are close to 480 steps, process steps. It takes 2 months time, and each step is critical. You have to do it perfectly, otherwise there will be effect on the yield. You will not get good yield. Your objective is to get 90% yield, even on a chip area of 100 mm square or 120 mm square. And so each of these steps is very, very important. And I will explain only the first step. You see, this is a wafer. This is a cross section of the wafer. So industry will use a CZ, George-Selsky wafer, which is 100. It should not have any impurities. It has to be a perfect crystalline structure. There are still certain impurities of carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, having densities 10 raised to the power 9, 10 raised to the power 10 per centimeter cube, which we cannot avoid. But the first step in a wafer is, because you can see in the top surface, top area, there is no impurities. Those white dots are the impurities. So the first off, we will do the annealing part, the step which is known as a gathering. So we would like those impurities, because my usable area of the wafer is around 675 micron thick, 8-inch wafer. 12-inch wafer is 850 micron thick. These are standard. Okay, so in that cross section, only usable area is only few microns, 4 or 5 microns. Then you will ask why you need then 800 micron. Because the wafer has to go at 1100, 1200 degrees centigrade temperatures. It should have some thermal resistance to bear that. The wafer, 12-inch wafer at 1200 degrees centigrade will bow. It should have some strength. Another reason is it should have some mechanical strength. You need to hold the wafer by vacuum. If it is very thin, it will just crack. So you need some thickness of that. But top area, 5 micron is very critical. So we would like, there should not be any impurity in the top 5 micron. So there is a process in gathering. As you can see, by doing the gathering, I have pushed the impurities down. The top 5 micron area is very neat. So there your circuit will be built. First step in any process, whether it's a 5 nanometer or a 5 micron process, is basically to define the areas where transistor will be made and the areas where transistor will not be made, which will be isolation. So where the transistor will be made, that is known as active areas. Where transistors are not made, that is known as a field area. So I have to segregate this. That is the first step. Okay, so now we do a shallow trench isolation in that. Shallow trench isolation means I have to dig you can say a channel, a trench, and I have to fill it with some high dense dielectric material. Now if you have to dig you can say a trench, the process engineer has to decide what should be the width, what should be the depth of that, what should be the geometry as it is shown here. Now you can see the width, we have to keep it minimum possible, because this area cannot be used for component. So we want to optimize the component density, and the height of this and the depth of this has to be decided by, I have to etch this area also. I cannot have more aspect ratio. If aspect ratio is more than 4:1, there will be difficulty in etching, there will be difficulty in filling. So all these things the process engineers have to keep in mind in deciding the geometry of this. So we should have some basic knowledge of thermodynamics and of the material science, about the chemistry, because all the fabrication processes, they are chemistry, pure chemistry, and thermodynamics and mechanical things, stresses and strain. You are depositing one film over the other film. So you have to see the Young's modulus is compatible or not. There should not be any stresses, unnecessary strain developed. Whatever chips you are making, the life has to be 20 years. You have to prove that. So reliability is also very important. So all those things have to be taken care by the process engineer while he is designing these components. Okay, so you can see, and then this trench cannot be at a 90-degree hole. You are seeing it's a slightly tapered, and that physics decides that why it's a tapered, because there has to be leakages. Then you have to understand the physics point of view, and what will be the effect at what angle you have to decide. So there has to be a tapering. Now to etch that kind of thing, it's not that simple to do that etch. So etching also is a complicated process to do at some tapering. So that is known as a etch depot kind of thing. So you are doing etching, deposition, that kind of thing you do, and you achieve this. Another important thing is you are seeing on the left hand side a groove. So that groove is very important because you see you have a 12-inch wafer. So how the machine understands the alignment marks which we call it. Okay, so from the top, if you are seeing each house has a boundary. So you can see by your eyes, there is a boundary. So in a wafer, it's a machine will do the next step. So how it will know where is the active area, where is the field area. Okay, so those groups are there, so you have to design a process so that those groups are where the trench is that is formed. So all these things, the process people have to see. You see this is what we have done is in the dark area, we have done the etching. We started with the wafer. We grew silicon oxide, 145 angstrom, then nitride, 1200 angstrom, and then we have done the etching at a particular angle. As you can see here, what the process engineer he does is, he has to do this step, what we call it a unit step, 1000th time, 10,000th time. You have to see that each dimension of these trenches comes within that window. It cannot be like if your depth is say 200 nanometer, so each time it should be within plus minus some 2 or 3 nanometer kind of thing. You have to perfect that step. So that is known as a unit process. So lot of energy, lot of material is wasted in developing these things. Okay, so after this, finally you have done this, and on the left you have seen, so in the entire wafer, 12-inch wafer, what I am doing is, I am doing this etching only, that is one part. So you can see that lot of etches, lot of trenches have been done. I have perfected that recipe of etching only. I am etching that particular area of a particular geometry. And geometry, what should be the dimension? It is also decided on 8-10 issues, right? What should be the depth? It will decide on the punch through. I have to make a contact, and contact I have to put a tungsten on that. Tungsten has to penetrate somewhat. So the source drain junction will depend on that penetration. What I would like to have a minimum XZ, but then I have to make a contact. So what should be the minimum dimension? So like that he goes and he decides the complete thing. Okay, so this is the thing, and then trenches have been done. I have to clean it. Any process, like we have 420 steps, after each step the wafer is cleaned. These are standard processes. It is cleaned by acids, it is cleaned by alkalis, it is cleaned by DI water. Then only it goes, because the wafer will go to the next chamber. It should not contaminate the chamber. During the process, if some particles are sitting, it will damage the chamber, and it will, your whole entire yield of the entire batch will be affected. So we have to clean this on a standard as it's shown here, and these cleaning are done at a particular temperature with the particular gases and chemicals. And you can see here, it is a cleaned picture of the trench. And finally, once I have cleaned the picture, I have made a trench. I cannot fill any high dense dielectric on that, because there is a material to material compatibility. So I have to grow a thermal. If I fill it, now it will be okay, but the device will not be reliable. Its life may be 1 year, 2 years, it will come out. So you have seen in some material where something is filled, that thing just come out, because the compatibility is not there. So what I have to do is, I have to grow a thermally grown oxide. So I have to grow a thermally grown oxide in the trench's wall, and then I have to fill with a high dense dielectric. Okay, so now it is grown, a high dense is grown, and then we are filling it with a high dense dielectric. We have along that the process is CEVD. So you can see that, and once you fill, you will get like a very non-uniform surface. You have to make it planarized. You will, that is a CMP process, chemical mechanical polishing kind of thing. You will do it, and finally you will get a shape like this. And you can see you are getting these hinges, which we call it a divot. So divots are getting to that. That is basically a alignment mark for the next process. So all these are the cross section. So all these things he takes into account, and then he goes for the next step and things like that. So this is a particular one step. So similarly, there are so many steps till the end manufacture. We have 6 layer or 10 layer or 12 layer metal layers. So So it has to go through so many steps. Each steps has some critical points. So now you can see here the trench isolation on the left, and you are seeing the gate on the right. Right? You are seeing a gate, you are seeing the junction, and you are seeing that top here. Basically, this is the tungsten, and it's making a contact. And here, this I have to put this is your source. So the depth of the source, how will I decide? I want this depth should be minimum. How minimum? Because finally I have to make a contact, and for a contact it has to penetrate to certain around 5 nanometer, 6 nanometer, and I cannot put a tungsten on silicon. I have to make it a silicide. I have to use a cobalt or a titanium silicide, and then I have to put a tungsten plug. My whole aim is this contact resistance has to be 1-2 ohms. It should not be more than this. Okay, so all these things, the process engineer, he has to take into consideration whether to put aluminium, to put what, to cobalt silicide or titanium silicide or tantalum silicide. All those things are there in that which the process people have to see. And there should not be any stresses developed. I would like this distance to be minimized. Why? Because I want a high component density. I want to pack more transistors in a given area. So, but at the same time, at this there should not be any stresses developed. So you have to see the stresses, and there are some software tools available. Who can see, as you can see here, there are some software tools which will tell you about the stresses. It will tell you about the stresses at the top, at the bottom. So that should be within a permissible limits. So all those things are there, and similarly all these steps proceed. So this is just, then I will show you a few examples. I will not explain much of the other things. So you can see it's a gate. I cannot put directly a tungsten on a gate. I have to make it a silicide, cobalt or titanium silicide, and this depth, this gate is, you can see, this is a very oxide which you are not able to see here because it's 15 angstrom. This is 8000 angstrom, which is a polysilicon. And on top of it, I have put a cobalt silicide, and this is around 100 angstrom. And then this tungsten plug, this is around 200 nanometer. I cannot do less than this because contact resistance will be more. Then this will be around 10-15 angstrom, the penetration. On top of it is a silicon nitride, which is basically is a dielectric insulator. So this is how contacts are made, and you can see some of these pictures. I will skip some of these pictures, and similarly you can have various metal on top of each, and the top metal is a thick metal, and this is how it goes finally. And it's a very interesting, that is the point which I am showing you these pictures. It's very interesting to see how the entire thing works. The entire process is chemical, mechanical, end result we are interested is electrical one. But the entire thing is working. And in a periodic table there are 115 elements. 70% of the elements are used in making these chips nowadays. All those, even lanthanides, actinides, people have researched, and they are also particularly used in making these. Okay, so these are some of the you can say cross-section diagram of the various transistors. And okay, so I will skip some of these slides and go to the next thing. And litho, okay, so this, I told you the stepper, and you see one of the important, all steps are important, but one of the very important step is, because finally you have to print a geometry, you have to decide a geometry, and that is a stepper or a scanner. So far 148 nanometer XUV litho has been used. You might have heard a lot of, for the last 20-30 years, Intel spent $1 billion in making a extreme EUV machine, and ASML has made one EUV machine which cost $350 million, and there are some pictures you can see. It's a very big equipment. It takes 5 aeroplanes, full cargo planes, 5, to ship that machine from ASML to any other country. It cost around $400 million. That can, it has a 13.5 nanometer kind of wavelength which can do. And okay, so when a new fab is set up, like Tata is setting up a new fab, they have to qualify the fab. Those are also standards. Okay, so there is a qualification test structures you have to put, and test structures should be within that particular limit. And normally SRAM, some voltage references, current references are used. Huge number of test structures are printed. They should be within that narrow window. So then only you will say that whole my line is eligible for commercial, for high volume manufacturing, what they call it, HVM and all those things. And there are, as you might have studied in this, there are 8 different types of semiconductor failure modes, including electromigration, time dependent, decay of dielectric, your other things. So all those things, MOS, MIM, NBTI and all those things, you have to make test structures, you have to prove that your reliability of the device, your circuit of the device will be 20 years. You have to show that. Okay, so all these things I will skip, and I will not take more than 15-20 minutes more. So as I told now, lot of huge number of gases, chemicals are used in manufacturing of these. There are bulk gases, what we call it, specialty gases. Bulk gases are in huge volume. You cannot have cylinders, you have to have your plants there. As some of you might have seen SCL, we have a nitrogen plant, we have a hydrogen plant, we have an oxygen plant, we have an argon plant there itself. So that is how what we call it, as Dr. Satya was saying, ecosystem. So semiconductor is one part. Lot of chemical engineers, a lot of engineers are required to make these facilities, to generate those facilities. Mechanical engineers, chemical engineers, other. We have a DI plant, deionized water. It's a very complicated plant to make pure water. Okay, so to give you an idea, you can see these are the volume of the gases required, nitrogen, oxygen, hydrogen, argon, helium, and the pipes which are used. You are producing in hydrogen gas, it has to be a pipe, it has to be taken to the fab. So that material, stainless steel, that is not made in India, everything is imported. Even the pen which is used in a fab is imported. The paper used in the fab, we cannot use our paper because it's a lot of lints, you have to maintain a class 1. So nowadays it's a paper is out nowadays because a lot of computers are there, even the manpower is out. You will have less manpower inside the fab. You have to maintain class 1 or class 10 kind of thing. But earlier there used to be a paper, lint-free paper, which we used to get from abroad, special pens and things like that. Now whole thing is computerized because of a lot of very good tools. Okay, so then water. You want pure water. How do you know pure water? The resistivity of H2O is 18.2 mega ohm centimeter. The water you can test, it gives you a shock. This means the resistance is few ohms. So a lot of materials are there. So to make a pure water is a big thing. For 1000 liter of water, you produce 1 or 2 liter of pure water. So this is the kind of water which is needed, and so you can see the impurities in a water and the number of steps in a water. And this is the water plant. We use osmosis, reverse osmosis, various types of membranes, filtering and things like that. UV, everything is used. And there are 10 different tests to certify that your water is H2O. As you are, all these tests are listed, it has to be done. And not only this thing, another thing is your water has to continuously flow in the line at a particular speed. There's a particular speed, it has to flow throughout, whether your fab is working or not working. The reason, if it is moving with a lower speed, there can be algae and bacteria inside the fab, inside the pipelines, and it will spoil your whole system. So all these things, it has to keep running. All chambers, they should get a fixed supply of argon or nitrogen, okay, so that nothing is coming, that your chamber is safe. And in an industry, what is the difference between various etchers or your thin film equipments are there in IIT and Sense Bombay and in industry? The difference in an industry, those chambers, they are very highly sophisticated. They are used only for one material. If it is for you oxide, it will be used only for oxide. It cannot be used for other. So you need 10 different materials, then you use 10 different chambers. Whereas it's not possible in academia, so you have one thing, you purge with nitrogen, clean it and use for some other material, but in an industry it is not like that. And they are expensive. Another thing is they are good for batch processing. They can handle 20 wafers, 40 wafers at a time, which you don't require, and the cost is exorbitant. But in academia, you don't need that kind of thing. Okay, so similarly for a nitrogen plant, if you see HCl in a nitrogen plant, again, you can see the purity levels are ppb. So ppb level you have to check at the plant, you have to check at the fab also you have to check. If there is a deviation in that, immediately alarm will ring and somebody has to correct it, everything will stop there itself. You have to correct these things. So to maintain all these kind of infrastructure, our HCl is not a very big thing. We are spending more than 300 crores per annum to maintain all these. If production is there, that expenditure is less, but for static expenditure is also in terms of these gases, maintaining all these, maintaining a fixed temperature, humidity inside the fab throughout 365 years at a particular level. You take now clean, how you maintain clean, you take the air, you have a air chamber unit, you take the air from the surroundings, you make it clean, you make it at a particular temperature, you make it at a particular humidity, and then finally you put it in the fab. It's a 3-storied fab. It will come from the top and goes through in a laminar flow. It cannot be your Reynolds numbers will be controlled. It cannot be this thing. Okay, so all these things to maintaining that, what we call it an ecosystem, you need this kind of manpower which are there in related thing. So you can see bulk gases, these are some idea of these, and then you need specialty gases like phosphine, arsine, these are very dangerous, poisonous. They are not needed in high volumes, they are needed in little volumes. There are cylinders, they are all imported. There are engineers who are certified, they only can touch that cylinder because it's highly poisonous. If some leak is there, you know that Bhopal gas leak, some 5,000 people had died. Okay, so and there is a, you can say, very good 3-level, 4-level of protection inside that. Lot of sensors have been there. There is a pipeline way which through the phosphine will flow. There is a 4-level of protection around that. Okay, even one fails, the second fails, third fails, the fourth, 4 level of protection. The fourth will now never fail because it involves human lives. So all these things matter. You can see here arsine, phosphine, diborane, dichlorosilane, trichlorosilane, all these things are used. They are highly poisonous. Certified people only can touch this cylinder, can handle these gases. Lot of all these fluorinated compounds basically used in etching and things like that. Then other, you need lot of power. Your furnace is at 1200 degrees centigrade. You need lot of power. We have in-house our substation, direct line from Bakhda. Then you need very big UPS, which we call it a droop system. It is a diesel rotatory UPS. All of you are using UPS for a computer. 3 megawatt UPS, how it can be done? It cannot be done by a battery. Diesel generator will take around 1 minute to start up. Fab equipment are so sensitive, if the power is lost, we have a 40 hertz waveform, so they want before the zero crossing of that line, equipment should get the power. So you can calculate the time, it is in millisecond. Generator will take around 1 minute. So how it is done? UPS you cannot have a battery. So there is a diesel rotatory UPS. What it means is, we have very big generators. There is a AC, you can say, motor linked with the AC generator. In between there is a big flywheel and a switch. All these generators are running continuously. This switch is closed, right? Now, if the power goes, flywheel also moving, that switch is a solid state switch which will close in microseconds. And that your DC, your AC motor is there which is running. Flywheel is coupled with AC, this thing, generator. And moment this power fails, AC wheel has some energy, that flywheel has some energy, switch is closed, AC generator will take, but it can supply only for 1 minute, 1.5 minutes. So it will, you will not feel that power is gone, and within 1 minute, your diesel setup should come. So HCl, we are maintaining 30,000 liter of diesel every day, though the power is very good. We have a direct Bakhda line, we never had any this thing. We had good reserve of oxygen during COVID. There were a lot of oxygen shortages here also, I think you might have seen. So we supplied oxygen to PGI and other hospitals because we had an oxygen plant. So we were doing oxygen. The problem is your oxygen is so pure, the patient doesn't need that pure. So that we made out some arrangement. Another thing is from the plant, how to fill oxygen in that cylinder. So all these things are very interesting. What I am telling you these stories is just to create your interest in this particular semiconductor area. That is our, whatever discipline you choose, that is option is yours. But it's a very interesting, very area, and very nice area, and you don't have to be expert in all these things, physics, thermodynamics and all those things, but a little bit of everything you should know. Even a doctor should know some physics or some chemical or something. Doctor cannot use a ventilator without knowing what is meant by pressure, what is absolute pressure, what is dose pressure. Okay, so these things are the only basic things which are required. Okay, so all these things, process, water, compressed air, vacuum, exhaust, so elaborate lot of things are there, and I will skip these things, and it generates lot of waste. How to deal with? The big TSMC, they are producing, what is the input of TSMC? It is I think around 12 million wafers per year. So they are producing. So how much waste will they will be generating? We are just, our capacity is 1000 wafer per start. We are doing 400 wafers per month, 8,000 wafers in a year. We are also generating lot of waste. And some of you get an opportunity, see their treatment plant. Okay, you have to treat it, and you cannot just dump it in anywhere. And lot of waste is generated, so that also has to be treated according to, there are norms of everything. Then the quality assurance part I will skip, and I will go test and assembly. Few things on test and assembly part. Whenever a batch comes, how you know that your processing is perfect or not? So there are SLM, subscribe line monitors, or structures are put, and we are doing some more than 150 different parameters. As this table you can see, there are different parameters, more than 150 parameters. So we first of all, when the wafer comes, when the batch comes, it goes to the characterization lab. So the engineer there, they will test that these are basic test structures, that these test structures are within that window. If they are not within that window, whatever products are there in the wafer, they are like, it's likely that they will not work or they will not meet the full specification. If this is clear, then only it goes to the product testing. Okay, so there are people who are involved in designing test structures. How to design a test structure which can measure NBTI, which can measure TTDDI, which can measure electromigration. Okay, so there is expertise required in those things, and so now you can see these. This is overhead sort. Wafer will be tested. There are various ways of testing. Probe card has to be made, and these are the dedicated machines. As you can see, there is a probe card. You have to make the probe card. Wentworth is a leading thing. You have to make test boards and things like that. You should have an equipment of testing at high temperature. You have to test at 125 at minus 55 degrees centigrade. Then finally, if your product is used in a car, it has to meet certain industrial grade specification. For military and space, it is even tougher. It has to meet 125, minus 55, a lot of acceleration test, 10,000 G, your package has to sustain. Centrifuge test, radiation test, there are many, around 15 different types of tests you have to undergo these products, and they have to sustain. Now in a package, while designing the chip, you have to keep in mind, because finally the die has to be packaged right there, and when you are packaging, how you are deciding about the IO pads, and there has to be you can say a parasitic of these pads also, from the wire length to board to PCB length. So these things also, when you are designing very high-end chips where the performance are in gigahertz kind of thing, megahertz, more than 100 megahertz, these things matter a lot. How to decide the chip? There are some off-the-shelf packages, there are some custom-made packages. So packages also has become a very, very important 2D, 2.5D, 3D, different types of packages. All these packages, we have handled various types of ceramic packages. Only ceramic, not the plastic. So these are the different types of packages as you can see here. And finally, the cost decides if your product is a low cost, you have to go for a plastic package, but ceramic packages are expensive, but military and space grade they are used. We cannot use the plastic packages because they are porous, they can explode in a vacuum. And another thing, in any satellite system, a vacuum is created. If you happen to in Bangalore at ISRO Satellite Center, there is a big hall like this where vacuum is created, space-like conditions are created, and the entire satellite is put there for testing, how it behaves for 5 days, 10 days. Each individual component is tested, high temperature, low temperature, under vacuum. First, you made system, card is tested, you put that card in a satellite, that satellite also is tested. Then only, because you have to ensure that life of the satellite is 10 years. You cannot go and repair there. Okay, and same way with the rocket, any goes in that, you have to test it, you have to be doubly sure, because if the one component fails, your whole mission fails, 500 crore goes. So all these things are important, and I will skip some of these things. These are the pictures of the die. So you can see it's basically a low voltage dropout regulator, LVR, linear voltage regulator. So you are seeing a MOS chip, and yeah. So I will just wind up by showing these pictures and some of these dies. These are the actual picture of dies taken by a microscope. So here also you can see this is the picture of a wafer and of a die. Okay, so I think I will stop with this. So thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jatana sir, for literally driving us through semiconductor process from manufacturing, then units, layouts, and giving us a clear idea about how the industry works, and then what is the future of our engineer students in the industry, real industry. There. May I call upon Dr. Paneerselvam ma'am, Program Director, to announce about the MOU.
So it was a mesmerizing series of lectures, starting with Satya Gupta sir to Paneerselvam sir to Jatana sir. So today, my dignitaries and my dear faculty members and students, we also have with us Vice Chancellor Dr. Ravi Chitnis with us for this conclave. This is an excellent opportunity wherein at one side we are trying to discuss how we can go ahead in semiconductor and VLSI technology, and at the same time we are trying to have MOU with VLSI society. Here I would like to mention and give a brief to Vice Chancellor sir that we have been sitting here since 9:30 and this is almost 12:30 sir, but you can see the student strength here who is sitting here continuously for last 3 hours, and the takeaways for this sessions, the technical sessions were very, very good. Students were sitting here and students are mesmerized with the contents which is being shared by all these 3 experts. Usually these students tend to move out of the class after every lecture, but we can see here that they are sitting tight in their seat and trying to understand how is this ecosystem, what are the foundries, what are the opportunities, what is the career ahead in front of them. So I am really, really fortunate to see this, I would say, scenario here in this Gnaneshwar Hall, where students are very much engaged in taking down their notes and learnings from these 3 stalwarts what we have today with us. And also, yeah, very good round of big applause to the students and their dedication which is seen here at this moment. So now we take this opportunity to sign MOU with VLSI Society. We have with us Satya Gupta sir, who is chairman for VLSI, and we have with us Ravi Chitnis sir as Vice Chancellor and Pro VC sir, Milind Pandey sir, who will be signing these documents. We'll take it ahead with the MOU. Yes, sir.
May I ask the audience to give a big round of applause, please? We are signing which is surely going to lead the department towards a very futuristic goals. It will lead us to lot of opportunities to all the students, not only PG, UG, all the students. Thank you all the esteemed dignitaries. Thank you Satya Gupta sir. Thank you RM Chitnis sir. Thank you Dr. Milind Pandey sir. Can I please request all the dignitaries to come in forward of the stage for a group photograph, please? All the panel discussion member, all the industry expert, please come in front for a group photograph, please. Kedar Patankar sir, Manish Kadam sir, Gautam More sir, Ajit Gupta sir, Bhairav Shah sir, Sarang Sherke sir, please come in front for a group photograph, please. Moving forward. Moving forward, let us start with our first panel discussion on the topic, Talent Pipeline for Semiconductor Industries, Challenges and Opportunities. For this particular panel discussion, may I call upon Dr. Satya Gupta sir, President, VLSI Society of India, Dr. Paneerselvam Madan Gopal sir, CEO, Mighty Startup Hub, Government of India. Mr. H.S. Jatana sir, noted semiconductor industry leader. Mr. Kedar Patankar, SIGP GPT Pune. Mr. Manish Kadam, Semtech Pune. Mr. Gauram More, LifePatch.ai. All the esteemed dignitaries are requested to please sit on the dais. Come and round of applause, please. Students, please be seated in the hall. Next, we have Mr. Manish Manohar Kadam. He is engineering leader with over 25 years experience across global semiconductor companies, including Semtech, Seagate, Toshiba, LSI, PMC, Sierra, Nevis Networks, and Switch-on Networks. He holds 5 US patent in SSD and network security. He has completed his master's in computer science from Pune University and an MBA from Golden Gate University, USC. Currently, he is heading Semtech Wireless India R&D Center in Pune. May I request Dr. Bharat Chaudhary sir to please felicitate, come forward to please felicitate Mr. Manish Manohar Kadam. Dr. Bharat Chaudhary sir, please. one more very eminent industry leader with us today, Dr. Ajit Gupta, sir. He is currently working at Qualcomm India as a Senior Director Technology and leads the XR Research and System Organization at Qualcomm's Bangalore Design Center. Dr. Gupta has 29 years of rich industry experience. He has led the XR research team at Qualcomm Bangalore since its inception in 2017 and has seen its grow into a large organization over the years. He has contributed significantly to the development of core technologies such as SLAM and VIO that are at the heart of XR experiences in today's XR devices. Prior to this, Dr. Gupta was leading video systems team at Qualcomm. Before joining Qualcomm in 2010, Dr. Gupta worked at Texas Instruments, Bangalore as senior member technical staff. He has a wide range of experience and expertise in technology areas covering computer vision and sensor fusion, SoC architecture, video compression, DSP processor design, architecture and SoC and IP design. He has received his PhD from Indian Institute of Science 2010 for his research on algorithms and architectures for video compression. He also has master's degree in VLSI from IIT Delhi in 1996, bachelor's degree from